Hello, real clinicians. This is Nasseh coming to you from my hotel room here in New York City. I'm staying at the Standard Hotel, and it's a pretty cool, interesting hotel right next to the High Line. And what I wanted to do was to share with you a case that I had done a little while ago with the EndoSequence technique. And along the way, maybe just show you guys this cool little hotel here, as well as the High Line, which passes by right next to the hotel. It's a very nice area, kind of an upcoming area in New York, the meatpacking district. Well, so let's take a look at the whole thing. Meanwhile, check out this shower here in the room. It's a see-through shower. So anyway, before I show you the case though, however, let's go have a little bite to eat because I'm starving, but then we'll talk about the case. There's always something happening here in the High Line area and in New York City as a whole. The High Line is a great example of architectural and urban planning, where an abandoned railway in Lower West Side of Manhattan was transformed into an outdoor park and promenade for the citizens of New York to enjoy. If you ever get a chance to come to New York City, come here for a leisurely walk. Hopefully the weather will cooperate like it did today. Well, much like the High Line being an architectural marvel here in New York City, the EndoSequence file that has been around now for a long time was also, at its time, a wonderful engineering design phenomenon. What I want to do now is show you guys an interesting case that I did using the EndoSequence file. So let's get inside and take a look at this case together. Today's case is a mandibular second molar, tooth number 31 with irreversible pulpitis, and a recently placed crown. This tooth has an estimated working length of 24 to 25 millimeters, so it's a fairly long root. Due to the presence of this lithium disilicate crown, a Duracut 6801 round burr is used in a very slow fashion with lots of water. This is fast forwarded to make the initial access preparation through the lithium disilicate, followed by using the Saber Cut 1557 burr to extend the access through the dentin into the pulpal cavity. After that, a long diamond burr is used to blend everything in a flowing fashion, and then a round number 4 is used to remove the triangles of dentin in the cervical area, followed by use of the E14D Forza V3 ultrasonic unit to remove some of the finer details in the cervical constrictions to provide straight line access. Now, I always in molars use an orifice opener. Here I'm using an orifice opener in a single stroke and clean fashion, and the goal here is to only have an opening to the coronal one half of the root. As you can see, the EndoSequence protocol that I'm going to use here is the crown down fashion use of sizes 30 through 15, and about 25 I'm going to stop and measure the working length. After the orifice opener, I'll use the size 30 followed by 25 and then measure the working length and then proceed to use the 20 and 15. Usually at this point the 15 reaches the working length, and I call this 30 through 15 sequence of files around, and I use each file. You could use it either in SSC motion or in a rhythm fashion, which is 3 strokes to engagement followed by removing the file and wiping it. After you reach the end, you have to begin from the beginning of the round. So again, you use from size 30 down to 25, and then after the first file reaches the apex, you move to the beginning until the file that you want reaches the apex. Here my goal is going to be to get the 30 down to the apex, but the goal is not to get the 30 down to the apex right off the bat, but allow each file to do its incremental job of removing the dentin. So after just doing the SSC with the size 30 and 25 after the orifice opener, I've just opened up the coronal 1/2 to 2/3, and now I'm going to do some hand instrumentation using some size 8 and 10 hand files to get some opening and get down to the apex and measure the working length. After measuring the working length with the apex locator to be a size about 25 millimeters, I'm using this 31 millimeter hand files to take a radiograph and confirm the length, which is ending up to be 25 millimeters. Here in between files, I'm irrigating with sodium hypochlorite, and if I feel resistance, I may move to canal clean or EDTA. So I continue that first round of sizes 20 and 15. 15 reaches the apex, and I continue again another round from 30 down to 25 to 20. Here at 20 reaches the apex. And then I begin, because I want to finish to a 30, I could have ended up at a 20, but I'm now getting to a size 30, remove the stopper, so because these are 25 millimeter files, and you can see that I'm reaching with a size 30 to the full working length. After it's all done, I do my ultrasonic irrigation and agitation and confirm my patency using a couple of hand files, size 10 over here, to make sure that I have the full length to the end. And then I've done my final irrigation using negative pressure, and I've cleaned the canal, and I'm now ready to obturate. You can see that I've searched for any additional distal canal, so I have a little bit of an oval distal canal, and I inject the BC sealer. This is the advanced technique of injecting directly, but the goal is to only inject in the upper half of the root and then push it down to the apex using a file. Here I'm taking it all the way down to the full working length using a file. And then I'm taking the corresponding size 30 BC coated gutta percha cones, and the distal, because it's an oval canal and there's additional room, I'm adding another cone, another size 30 next to the main cone. And then I sear it down, and I continue to do the same thing with the other mesial canals, searing them both off at the orifice, or maybe about a millimeter above the orifice, followed by the use of a size 10 plugger to spread the gutta percha everywhere, so I end up only with gutta percha. And then pushing it down so that the gutta percha is covering all the orifices. And then from a size 10, I move to a size 9. And then I use the ultrasonic to remove the remaining sealer. So here, after completion, I place cotton and cavit, and the patient is sent back to his referring dentist to restore the access preparation. And the patient comes back to see me for a follow-up a month after, and I'm just going to show you the 1 month post-op radiograph here, and you can see that the access is already restored, and this is our final shape of a constant taper preparation file using the EndoSequence technique in a very efficient manner to finish all canals, in this case to a 3004, and obturate them with the bioceramic sealer. Now, this case was done several years ago, and the patient is doing well, and the tooth is still there, and this was the case that I wanted to share with you. Well, let's end this video here on the streets of New York City. And basically, as you saw, much like the High Line here in New York City, the EndoSequence system that has been around now for about 15 years is a very, very efficient and effective way of instrumenting the root canal still, especially when it's paired with synchronicity and hydraulic condensation. And I hope I demonstrated this to you in this video. I'm going to be doing a lot more videos on the EndoSequence system and the merits of this efficient instrumentation system that's been around now for a long time. I hope you found this information helpful, and for we will then know, I'm Ali Nasseh, and let's save some teeth.